All right, students, what I want to do is I wanted to go over some code. Last week we had another storm, so that's two this semester, so we missed a couple classes. This is already a reduced 10-week class, which I didn't really cover that when I sent out my notes on the different class options you have, but you have to keep in mind that the class that you've taken is and also a 10-week class, which really limits what we're capable of doing in the classroom. So I wanted to get out a video real quick and explain some code. This particular code is excellent code to show you because there's actually a little bug. It's not really a bug, it's just a concept that we need to cover to show you that how you as a programmer can make it easier for your user to run the program and do the inputs they need to do. So let's go through it real quick. Real basic program. I found it online to save me typing it in. I'm not a very good typer, so it saved me typing it in. What we're basically doing is we're calculating interest in a year on 365 days worth of interest on some money that's borrowed. So a very simple interest program. As you can see here, we're floating three different variables. Actually four. It's the principal amount, which is the amount that we're borrowing, the rate of interest, the number of days, and then the actual interest rate or the actual interest that's calculated. So not the interest rate, that's actually here in the rate of interest, but the actual interest that's calculated. We do have a constant in this particular example. It's the number of years in the number of days in a year, so that's 365, so that's going to remain constant. What we're going to do is we're going to go out to our screen. We're going to ask the user for an input. It's going to be the loan amount. If they type 0, the program will quit. We're going to scan it. We're going to grab that amount, and that becomes our principal amount. All right, so that's how much money that we are borrowing. Then we come down here. We got a little while loop, and we're going to take our principal amount, and then we're going to get an input the interest rate, and as we input, the keyboard grabs it and it assigns it to our variable rate of interest, and then we're going to put in the number of days that the loan is there. The keyboard is going to grab it again, and that's going to be assigned to the variable days. All right, and then how we account for the total interest that we will be paying is we take our principal amount from up here, and we multiply that by the rate of interest times the number of days, and then we divide that by the year in days, which was 365, the constant up here. Okay. And then after we do that calculation, what it'll come up with is it'll say what our principal amount is, and it'll give us it'll calculate how much interest we have. So let's go ahead and run that. Let's build and run. Everything ran well. And we're going to go to the bank and we're going to borrow $1,000. Hit enter. And our interest rate, let's go with 15%. All right, maybe we're borrowing the money from a loan shark. I don't know. Term in days, we're going to borrow the money for 365 days. And then what we ended up with here is $15,000. That's how much interest we had. So this is where this application is kind of interesting, and I'm glad that I found this example online. Obviously, if you borrowed $1,000 at 15%, your interest isn't going to be $15,000. So the way this program is written, we did everything we were supposed to do, but where the challenge is this right here, this interest rate. 15% when you enter in most programs should be 0.15 because it's 15 over 100. So this particular program didn't. When they created it and they input the interest rate, they assumed the guy who programmed it or the girl that programmed it said, hey, I'll just put this in there. They type in 15, everything's fine. Well, it's not true because it should be 0.15. So when you're programming, you have to take those kind of things into consideration. What they probably should have done was change the formula a little bit so that the input interest rate, when they were querying the user for it, they should have put it in a decimal value, meaning 0.15, or they should have another step in the program, the actual program itself, that converts that over to 0.15. So they could take 15 and divide it by 100 and they'd get 0.15 and then carry on from there. And then, so if you do it that way, let me run it again and let me show you what the real amount should be. So we're going to put in our same $1,000 that we're borrowing off the loan shark. We're going to type in 0.15 this time for 15%. Again, they weren't very clear in how they wanted you to do that. So that's where one issue is with this particular application. Input term of the loan in days, we're going to go with 365 because that's a year. All right, so now we got a better number. So if we borrowed money, if we borrowed $1,000 for 1 year at 15%, it's $150 interest. So I wanted to go over that program with you and show you that program. I'm going to go ahead and post this video. And this is exactly how you should learn. You should be going out there at this point in the game in this course and finding different code and running through it on your own and seeing how it works, and make sure that you understand all these amounts. That's where you'll get a lot of education. So I encourage you just to go out there and look things up, look at other people's codes, because you'll learn a lot more from that than you will the exercises in the class or just watching a couple videos online. And you can interact with it. You can change variables. You can practice by putting things in. Now, in the next video that I'll create later on this afternoon is I'm going to create a debugging video where we watch these values change as we're putting them in. And that's the key to learning how to program. You guys will be able to answer a lot of your own questions once you learn how to use a debugger. Thank you and have a good day.